All right, we will call the meeting to order. The Citizens Advisory Committee at 6:31. Caroline, will you call the roll, please?
Aaron Gill, not present. Frank Kinsella.
Here.
Bob Sipple.
Present.
Allison Falwell, not present. Lauren Lewis.
Present.
Raj Manat, not present. Justin Fields.
Here.
Kathy Sutherland. We'll hang on for a second. Dan Kenny, not present. Steve Mink.
Here.
Lonnie Wong Bassett. Here. Mara Burton. Here. Edward Von Rennan.
Here.
Joe Henwood.
Here. Thank you, Caroline. We have Kathy Sutherland participating via Zoom this evening. Good to see you this evening.
You do. Hi, it's good to not see all of you, but to be here.
Have a little business to tend to first. Caroline is going to explain that for me.
Kathy Sutherland will be joining us for this meeting via AB 2449, attendance rules under the Ralph M. Brown Act.
So I would like to say that there is nobody over the age of 18 or with me at all, and that I'm not feeling well.
Chair, would you like to call a motion in a second for the CAC to vote on whether or not Kathy can
Allow her to participate. Okay.
I'll make a motion to allow her to participate.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Lauren seconds. Caroline, would you take a vote, please?
Aaron Gill, not present. Frank Kinsella. Or yea or nay?
Yes.
Robert Sipple.
Yes.
Lauren Lewis.
Yes.
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Steve Mink.
Yes.
Lonnie Wong Bassett. Yes. Mara Burton. Yes. Edward Von Rennan.
Yes.
Joe Henwood.
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Carries, thank you. Welcome, Kathy. You can stay on.
Thank you.
Better suit.
Yeah. Public comments. This time, is there anybody in the public would like to comment on anything not on the agenda? You'll have 3 minutes to do so. Do we have any?
There are none.
Okay. Approval of minutes. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at the minutes.
I make a motion, we accept.
Have a motion, have a second.
A second.
Oh, that was Steve.
We have a second and a third.
Okay.
Yeah.
Frank Kinsella.
Yes.
Bob Sipple.
Yes.
Lauren Lewis.
Yes.
Justin Fields.
Yes.
Kathy Sutherland.
Yes.
Steve Mink.
Yes.
Lonnie Wong Bassett. Yes. Mara Burton. Yes. Edward Von Rennan.
Yes.
Joe Henwood.
Yes. We're good. All right. Opening report. As you all saw, we have Kathy Sutherland via Zoom. Unfortunately, this was going to be her last meeting with us because she is moving on to the board. She's been with the CAC since 2013 as an at-large member. She served as vice chair in 2015 and 16 and part of this year. And she was the chairman from 2017 through 2020. At the beginning of COVID pandemic, got us through our first virtual meetings. And she will be moving into the District 4 seat on the board of directors. She will take her oath on December 20th. Well, I'm sorry. Well, thank you. I would like to say that I'm looking forward to having her on the board, because I know Kathy and all of her time here on the CAC, she's never been afraid to ask questions. She always wants to understand everything thoroughly. And I think that is very important to have somebody like that on the board, to thoroughly understand what is going on, what is being presented to them, not only here, but on the board as well. And if anybody else would like to share any comments about Kathy, I would welcome that at this time. Brief, but if anybody has anything they would like to say.
I second your comments. That's
That is short. That is short.
As do I, and congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you. Can I say a few words?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I really, really am sorry that I'm missing this meeting. The work that the CAC does, thank you all very much. It's important. I think it's a different lens than the board provides. And I've just really valued my time learning from all of you, and especially as people who are just big advocates for the group, for the work that the organization does on such a level that is really in person and out in the community, and which is the role of the CAC. Like I said, I've really enjoyed my time with all of you, and I will miss all of you. It's just like, oh, you are my people. So thank you.
Well, there is a board liaison, you can come back.
True.
So anyway, thank you very much, Kathy.
Thank you.
Also this evening at his first meeting, we have Joe Henwood, our newest member of the CAC. Joe lives in San Jose. He worked for AT&T as a lineman for 25 years, coached girls soccer and Little League, volunteered at Agnew State Hospital to help bring residents to Sunday Mass. He was a Cub Scout leader and assistant scoutmaster. He likes fishing, camping, hiking, and volunteering for OSA as Trail Patrol, Trail Masters, and he's participated in various outreach events. Welcome, Joe. We look forward to having you here.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Anything you want to say real quick, or you good?
I look forward to learning from all of you so I can be hopefully somewhat close to your experience and pull people in and let them know about Open Space Authority, how great it is, and just show them what we have to offer. Thank you.
Very good. Welcome. Committee business. Members of the public will have the opportunity to comment on any matter on the agenda. You're limited to 3 minutes. Number one agenda item, we have Terry. Receive presentation on 2024 education program.
Yes, please. Thank you. You can choose. There's more in the freezer.
Yeah, what do you want from us?
I'll get
Giving us treats, you want something?
I'll get to why you're eating those in a minute.
Yeah.
Anybody like to move that we receive these every meeting? I'll entertain a motion for that.
Woohoo! Most welcome. So my name is Terry Rogaway, and I'm the Educational Programs Administrator for the Open Space Authority. Thank you so much for hearing my report today. Today will be the educational year in review for 2024. Hope I pushed the right button. Okay. So during 2024, as you know, it's not over yet. We still have time to do more, but as of now, we have done 148 programs. We'll expect to do about 160 by the end of December. We've had 2,722 educational contacts, and we're expecting over 3,000 contacts by the end of the year. Docents on the Ridge. The very most exciting thing that happened this year was this past year was that Coyote Ridge opened, my own Yakima Coyote Ridge. And so all the docents were really excited, and they came out and they started to do programs, and they started to staff the parking lot so that they could welcome everybody. And what happened? They got hit by rain. So we had a lot of rain this year. And even despite that, though, it didn't get their hopes down. It didn't hurt their morale or anything like that. So in March, we had 42 programs scheduled. 21 of those were canceled due to weather. In April, we had 39 programs, 10 were canceled due to weather, and by May it started to dry out. So we had 22 programs and only 4 were canceled due to weather. But despite all of this, there was a great deal of excitement by the volunteers to be out welcoming the public to this location and seeing all of the new infrastructure and everything. It just really rejuvenated the volunteers and the docents in particular. During this year, we actually made a new friend. So there's a hiking club called No Worries Amigo, and this is led by Jeff Gans. And what happened is Jeff said that he used to have a lot of anxiety and depression, and he discovered that when he was hiking, he felt better. So he decided to use this as a tool to go out and reach out to other people and get them to come out and go hiking too. So the reason you're eating ice cream and popsicles is that at the end of every hike that he does, he has this freezer in his van and he opens it up and they all eat ice cream and popsicles up in the parking lot. That's how they cool down after their hike. So you can see here in the picture that they're actually, before every program, it's like a wellness experience. So in combination, sorry, I got excited. It's a wellness experience in combination with a hike. So they went to Mauna Yakma Coyote Ridge and they did yoga, like right by the parking lot. They did yoga for the first hour that they were there. And then they went for a hike. You can see them coming down the hill with their little headlamps on and everything. So they were doing that. When they went to Sierra Vista, they did meditation. When they went to Little Uvis Creek, they did breath work. So they always do something wellness related before they actually do the hike. I love their slogan. It's like hike more, worry less, feel good. So this was at Little Uvis Creek. And this particular day was on 9/11. And so what Jeff did was he scheduled and he organized this hike for first responders and their families to come to. And one of the groups that came and spoke on behalf was the Peace Officers' Wives of California. So they were saying that good policing begins at home. And so their whole purpose is to create a support system for the police officers that are out in the community, with the belief that if they create a really good support system at home, that they'll be better police officers and peace officers in general. So that was really moving to get to see them and get to meet them and everything. And they are looking forward to doing more stuff with us in the future. So I like that we were able to make this network through him with these other groups too. So that was very moving. They went up the hill, they watched a beautiful sunset, just beautiful from Little Uvis Creek. And they even did breath work, and I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I understand that it's a really good wellness technique. So they did that too. And a lot of them were quite emotional when they came back down the hill and very grateful for the space. They appreciated the space. Oh, who's that? So we do have our friends that come and ask us if we can have hikes and things in the preserves. So we had a Bay Nature magazine came out and they did a hike, and here's Andrea speaking to them before the hike and everything. And so I like that we have this kind of involvement that we do with our volunteers. Our volunteers were there helping to facilitate this and get it going as they went up the hill. We also helped out with the Peninsula Open Space Trust and their annual bike ride. So we partnered with them this year, and I went along to like make sure things went smoothly. And you can see our very own Aaron Abear is there. He went on the ride too, and they had over 75 riders on that. It was really fun. I was leapfrogging them in case they needed anything at the next. So I'd go ahead and like open the gates and then they would come through, that kind of thing. So really fun group to get to see all of them in that partnership with Peninsula Open Space Trust and Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful and several other organizations that were speakers and took part with that. We had our volunteer appreciation and our open houses. So Michelle actually left us in July, but she did come back to say goodbye to everybody at the volunteer appreciation. And so she made a really touching speech and everything. And that was nice. And then we were also helping Nick with the Coyote Valley Conservation Area Master Plan. And so we had a series of open houses that we went to, and we helped them with that experience. And we had docents that did that too. Every year in September, September is Public Transportation Month. So the idea is to try to encourage people to take public transit to get to come to one of our activities. So there was all these people that had these activities throughout the Bay Area, and we were one of them. So we said, hey, I haven't done plein air painting at dusk yet. Let's see what we can do with these amazing sunsets. So we got Ed Rooks to come out, and we set up all the tables and all the paints and everything. We provide everything, all the paint, paper, all of it. All they had to do was show up and bring a chair, because I don't do the chairs part. So they brought a chair, and they were able to sit and get this lesson from this plein air painter artist who was able to teach them, you know, hey, this is how you can do it. So they got to, even if they had zero experience, they still had a good time. So they got to make a painting and they got to take it home. And the cool thing for me about this was that there was 23 people that took part in this activity. 19 of them showed up on the bus. So Kat was the first one who did it last year for our very first one. And I remember her going, you know, waiting for people to get off the bus. And it's like little trickle, little trickle. And then all of a sudden one bus showed up and there was like 13 people. So the numbers are going up. So second year in a row now, numbers going up. People liked painting and coming out and spending the dusk with us. So that was very nice. Oh, you can see more pictures of folks here having a lot of fun. And the kids, lots and lots of kids. So what new activities did we do this year? So this year we tried a couple of new things. One of those was we started a program called Whittling After Work. So part of what I do is I find passions that the volunteers have and I try to encourage them. And this could be a new way to reach out to new folks to come and take part in some of our activities. So never had a wood carving class before. So we had all the special gloves and everything. You can't cut yourself and stuff, and the little knives and the little soft wood and everything. And Sylvia Maione, who's actually not a docent, she's a preserve steward and a trail master. She came out and we went to Little Uvis Creek. And we sat there, and after work, folks came over and they just walked up and they sat down on the logs right there, and they got to carve for like 2 hours. She just took her time and she's like, do, like she was drawing on their wood with pencils and showing them how to do things. She had all these other amazing tools beyond the regular ones that I had. And it was just really, really peaceful. And I was able to talk to them about open space and, oh, have you heard of us before? No. Oh, really? Okay. So this is about maybe like 5-6 people this first time, but that's what happens when it's brand new program. And so I thought, wow, a new way to try to get new folks to like come out that wouldn't have thought to come to us before. I also started walking, wellness walking on Wednesdays. So this is wellness walking on Wednesdays for widows and widowers. So I don't know if you were aware or not, but I lost my husband in May. And so I thought this is a part of our community that we can help. And sure enough, we've had people come out. So we've had quite a few folks come out. Each time it's a little different. Sometimes it's one person brings other people with them. So this Wednesday will be the next walk. And it is just a walk. Because sometimes the hardest thing to do is just to go for a walk. You feel like you're walking through molten lead. So with this, it's like creating a safe space where they can come. I said, if you want to sit in the sunshine, just sit in the sunshine. It's okay. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. We're not going to make you talk. And it's just, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? And I just talk about simple things. And then I stop and share techniques of things that I've done to try to cope. And then they share some of their ideas too. And it's really interesting. It's a good sense of community. So we'll see. And I would like for this to be a perpetual thing that keeps going every Wednesday. So right now we're at Maiano Yakima for this month. And next month, we're going to be over at Spreckles Hill. So we'll do that every Wednesday. So each Wednesday, we'll try different locations, see if we can reach different populations. And if we have fans, they might continue to come. I did it at lunchtime because I was thinking people would come on their lunch break, but most of the folks showing up are actually retired. So maybe they won't have the same limitations. The other program I started was Folklore Friday. So this was part of our virtual programs. And I actually created a brand new folk tale about the stone wall up on top of Sierra Vista. I told you about that. So a lot of people see that stone wall, and walls like that ended up on a TV program on the History Channel. And they thought that this stone wall came from Marco Polo. So we get scolded a lot for how come you're making Marco Polo's wall into a retaining wall? It's like, it's really not. It's really not. But I thought, what can I do with this? So I created a whole folk tale about a giant snake that used to help cut down on the rodent population and things like that, and then went to sleep. So the snake is the wall. So it's fun coming up with stuff like that. Here's a picture of Jackson. So he's one of the field techs, and he actually approached me and said that he wanted to talk about tarantula hawks. And I was like, ooh, tarantula hawks. And he said, well, you know, everybody talks about tarantula. Nobody talks about the tarantula hawks. And he was so enthusiastic. So I asked his supervisors, would it be okay? And they said, oh, yeah, sure. So what I do is I scheduled a program at the park where he is during the time that he's there, so that it doesn't disrupt his work schedule, and he can get a break in that he gets to educate people. So he had quite a little following. He did 2 programs, and he had quite a following of people that showed up. I was quite surprised and very pleased. He's very professional with his interpretation, and he's currently enrolled in the interpretation class at West Valley College. So I like that our field staff are also learning to improve themselves and learning new tricks of the trade and different professions within our profession. So this year we're going to have 2 Hike Your Pie Offs. So one Hike Your Pie Off will be on the day after Thanksgiving. It'll be at Mayano Yakima Coyote Ridge. And so we will have our very own Lauren. Lauren is going to be leading, yay, the very first ever Run the Ridge. So he's going to do a trail run. He's got a buddy, and then we have a couple volunteers who also like to trail run. So they're going to come. Christy Cerna will come and run with you and help sweep. And so I figured, you know, I've seen you go through there and you're like, shoo, shoo, shoo. And I'm like, wow, it's fast. So now he has a chance to see what the public would like to do. And surprisingly enough, it's like practically sold out. So people were interested. So that's going on. And then there will be little mini hikes for kids. And there will be arts and crafts and things like that. So you can come out and do bubbles and arts and crafts and go for mini hikes and enjoy yourself. The preserve is open on that day. So if you start to go up and do the whole Hike Your Pie Off hike and you just like, nope, you can come back. It's okay. Go as far as you comfortably can and come back. So it'll be a good way to get families to come out and things like that. And then No Worries Amigos is going to join us on Saturday. So they'll be at Rancho. So if you want to meet them and go for a hike with them or just hang out, you can even hang out in the parking lot and say hi. They're quite exciting when they show up. They have a van and everything with all this cool stuff. And they're just really upbeat and happy people. And so they'll be at Rancho Cañada del Oro on Saturday. And he was a little worried, you know, because he said, what, but you're already doing something. And I said, no. There's people that are scared to leave their house on Friday because of the sales. They're afraid. So they come out on Saturday. So you'll get all of them. And he's like, okay. So there's an opportunity. It's the first time we're doing this with a partner, having a partner lead a hike. So changes for the new year. One of the changes that's happening with the new year is I have taken on the preserve stewards. So I will have the docents and I will also have the preserve stewards. I'm excited. So we're looking forward to expanding their role. They won't, Coyote Ridge is a big lift, but I also want them to go out to the other preserves, give some love to the other preserves and be able to greet people, especially during wildflower season. When folks want to see all the wildflowers that are at Rancho Cañada del Oro and they're asking other members of the public, what's that? What's that? Let's put some preserve stewards out there too. So we're looking forward to expanding that. And part of what we're doing is a big publicity push. So if you guys know somebody who would like to come learn how to do this, they don't have to know anything at all. They just show up, have the excitement, want to learn. We're going to do a big push for the new year. They can join us. They can get trained on how to do programs and help lead hikes or do other things if they're nervous and they don't want to talk to people. They don't have to, but they can still come help. So that would be great. And they can help us expand what we do as well. So the other thing is that I talked to Aaron Aber and my supervisor, Derek, and we agreed that we would have for Earth Day this time, in celebration of Earth Day falls on a Tuesday when the preserve is closed, I think. So we're going to go the weekend before, and that's going to be the one open access day that we have. We haven't tried open access since the preserve opened to the public, so this will be our opportunity to see how it goes. How do people do? Is it okay? Do we get run over? Like this kind of thing. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I would encourage you to come out and join us and see how the public responds to this and how many people we can get out there. And then the last thing that's new is that I'm forming a partnership with Summerdale Elementary School over on the northeast side of San Jose. So we're going to be doing an in-depth, it's a pilot for me to learn, but it's an in-depth experience where we're going to go back repeatedly throughout the year and influence and get to know like the same kids, find out what do they want to learn about, how do they feel about nature, how do their parents feel about nature. And the idea is to get them to come to the preserve at some point, especially during wildflower season or things like that for field trips. And what a great opportunity, but let's try it with Summerdale first. And the reason for that was, well, I got sent out there. I was helping Gavin and I went to the site and I was like, oh, I went to this school. So that was really fun. And the teachers were really excited to see us. So they said, this would be great if we could do something like this. And I love it when they're enthusiastic like that. That was the principal talking to me like that. That would be great if we could do stuff with you. I'm like, yes. So that's what we have going on this year. And docent training starts on January 11th. We'll have our next interpretive host training. And then the docent training itself starts on January 15th. So there will be a series of Wednesday virtual programs in the evening. So like after dinner, they can log in and learn a lot of new techniques. And then we'll have days on Saturdays when we go out to the preserves and they can come learn techniques and learn about the preserves out there. So if you know anybody you want to send my way, please do. I really encourage you to do this. And here are some of our lovely docents. These are pictures from Coyote Ridge this past season. Leave you with a beautiful sunset. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Terry. The passion you have for this and the enthusiasm you have for all these outreach programs. I mean, you're definitely the right person to be in that role. I know we have a couple. Do you have something else you need to say?
I'm sorry, if it pleases the chair.
Go right
So
ahead.
I forgot to tell you, the most exciting thing for me is we have a brand new employee.
Okay.
Yes, she's amazing. Her name is Mel Sarmento, and she's coming to us from Guadalupe River Park Conservancy. She's been a director of education there for some time, and I'm really looking forward to working with her. She's going to be amazing for us.
Good. Anybody on committee would like to talk? Lauren?
Could you remind me for the Earth Day event next year, what the difference between open access and like weekend access would be?
Oh, okay. So right now what we're doing is if somebody wants to come to the Ridge on a weekend during wildflower season, that's critical 6 weeks where it's like really blowing up, we want them to go up with us so that they're not going up on their own. It's safer for the resource and the animals and the plants if they have a guided educational experience. So we're going to have plenty of tours. They'll have lots of opportunities. Private hikes can go to by special arrangement and everything. And we're looking forward to reaching out to some folks who normally wouldn't come out, that we haven't reached yet, to come have new experiences there. But open access is when you basically book the parking spot. And they have a time slot and they show up and you greet them and you take a picture of the map and they go without help, without somebody with them. So we want to see what happens on one day. So scary, but we want to see what happens. Well, how do people do? What do they do? How do they react? Is there any particular area that people can't resist and they're going to go look at this rock? So we're watching all of this and we're just taking notes and taking it all in. So open access means that you hike at your own pace, do your own thing. When you're coming and running, open access type thing. If you're running with a docent, it's not. So it's educational experience.
I'll assume you'll need volunteers to help that day to, kind of monitor that people are going where they should be going. And
Do you think somebody will show up on a horse?
possible.
No pressure, no pressure.
Are there any other comments or questions? Yes.
So Terry, first I want to say thank you so much. It's a wonderful presentation and it's great to see you creating different communities. I really do like the wellness walks on Wednesdays. I think that's really wonderful to, be able to have people can come together and have strength in grieving as well too and turn it into something beautiful. So thank you for creating that. It's exciting to see No Worries and Open Space Authority make the connection. It was a conversation that Mark and I had with Jeff, I think in 2022 or 2023. And so nice to see it coming into fruition. And I will be on the, what do you guys call it? The walk your pie off on Saturday. So I'll be walking my pie off on Saturday, shopping on Friday. I was wondering if you do have any plans to expand to any unique hiking groups or if any other groups have contacted you for getting out into the spaces. I've seen some other hiking or people that are in the trails at different community groups, whether it be the Vietnamese community or the African American community. So just wondering if people have reached out to you to bring their audiences to your open spaces. So that was just a question. And then Teen Week at the Tech. So that just happened a couple of weeks ago. And I think it would be great for you all to be visible, to let students know that, hey, if you like the outdoors, this can be a job too. So that might be another avenue to explore. And the Tech also does a lot of helping with Senate Bill 720, which is the environmental education bill that all students in K through 12 need to have environmental education. So it could be like a, double fold there as you're working with the Tech and also helping the Senate bill. And really great to see you working with Summerlin Education. And then another question I had, I like the picture of your staff. And I wonder if you're doing tuition reimbursement for your staff who are pursuing their education as well too. That's just going to give a shout out for that. I see heads nodding. So I think that's great as well too, to help, support people as they continue their education, especially here in the environmental spaces. And those are all my notes I have. So I had a couple questions, but a lot of kudos and great job. So thank you.
Could you please remind me of the first question?
The first question is, how are you expanding to other unique communities or organizations like No Worries Amigo? And also, have any other organizations contacted you to have their groups in your spaces?
I'm really looking forward to Mel coming on board because she has a whole bunch of new connections through downtown San Jose. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm also looking to the guidance of the Citizens Advisory Committee to help me meet new people. Other than that, people have been pretty shy. The most people that reach out to me are scout leaders. So scout leaders and school groups wanting school tours, which we are scheduling some that are one-offs for the time being, but we've started doing some of those programs. But I would love very much to have more groups come. We do have the Vietnamese communities coming from, it's going to escape my mind now. We went there to have VASC. Yeah, to have an event. And I met some really exciting people that want to get involved with us too. So, but other than that, I'm really looking forward. If you guys know anybody and gals know anybody, I would really appreciate it. One of the things that makes us really different from other park agencies, if I may say so myself, is we play well with others. We like it when people come to our preserves. We make it very easy for people to come and get a permit, especially if they're doing something educational. Our preserves are also their classrooms. And I love that about us, that we can do that.
Any other comments or questions?
Does anybody want any more ice cream?
Or Mel? Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the public? Or Kathy, do you have any questions? Not
No,
putting you
I'm
on the spot.
good.
Okay,
I'm
thank
good.
you. Thank you. Item number 2, discussion of and feedback on prioritizing the Open Space Authority's niche focus areas over the next 15 years. Lee and Mark.
Thank you. Good evening, CAC members. Mark Landgraf, Assistant General Manager, and I'm going to be passing the baton shortly to Lee, our other Assistant General Manager. So I have the pleasure of presenting, or at least opening the discussion tonight regarding an opportunity to dream a little bit. So this is an activity that staff worked with our board of directors on. I think it's all of the information's in your packet, but September 16th, we had a retreat and worked with them on first framing these niche and focus areas that I'll talk just a little bit about here to do the same framing for you all. And then it's an opportunity for you to think, what should we be doing at our agency 15 years from now or over the next 15 years? It's there are certainly constraints we have to consider, but there's also a lot of opportunity. And if we always work year to year, we may not be seeing things further out in the future that we want to work towards. And we want to understand what those priorities and goals would be, say, 15 years out. I'll explain in a minute why we're choosing 15 years as a target, but it's this opportunity to provide some thought to, all of the good things that our agency hopefully is already doing, and what our mission represents to all of us, but especially the communities that we serve, and what else we can be doing to serve the public in that way. So just a little bit of framing here. I think you're familiar with our mission. Is also stated in the packet in case you need a refresher, as is the vision that we see for the Santa Clara Valley region over time. That hasn't changed. What we have done in the meantime, and there's information here in your packet about this too, is that staff have worked with the CAC and our board to develop sort of an expansion, a little bit of greater depth to what our mission entails, and we call that our niche. These are things that make the Open Space Authority special or unique. They're things that, if it weren't for the Open Space Authority, may not be getting done out in our region or may not be getting done as well. And so there are things that we have a particular focus and skill regarding. And so those are things that we want to make sure we're bringing up as we consider what our priorities might be over the next 15 years. There's also something that we've called operational focus areas. These are things that help us consider what structure we need at the Open Space Authority as an agency, especially over the next 2 years. As you all know, we're considering, or actually just continuing to explore funding measure on the ballot, currently looking at the possibility of doing that in 2026. And as we do so, we want to make sure that our organization is really sound. And so our general manager, Andrea, who's here with us tonight, developed 3 specific focus areas. And those are in some of the materials that Lee will talk about, but I'll just mention them here since we're introducing them. Those focus areas are creating organizational excellence and resiliency. So making sure that our organization is really strong, that we're developing professional growth within our staff, planning for succession over time, and making sure that we have the skills needed to serve the public through the work that our agency does. We're also building financial sustainability and capacity. So that's really closely related to possible funding measure in 2026, but just generally financial sustainability and making sure that we're spending within our means. And then also building public awareness about the benefits of nature. This is something we do on an ongoing basis through Terry's terrific educational programs, our outreach work, volunteer work, also through all our communication channels. So that's something that we want to make sure we're continuing and building over time. And as was mentioned earlier, making sure we're reaching out to new communities, new audiences all the time. So why are we thinking about 15 years? As part of the exploration of a funding measure in 2026, we took a look back as staff and we used help from some consultants here to look at a 15-year financial forecast, like what, given some just very basic assumptions, what kind of funding will we need over the next 15 years? And that's helping inform what kind of funding measure we would need in 2026. But it also gave us a chance to look at what kind of projects that financial forecast might include. And so it's just a time frame that has worked well for us as we're looking at a funding measure. But now, it's something that falls in between, like, if we try to look out 50 years, who knows what the world's going to be like 50 years from now, right? So it's kind of hard to look that far out or even 30 years out. And if we just look out 5 or 10 years, then it may miss some of the things that, like new preserve openings or trails that take a longer time for acquisition of land and planning for trail access and actually building the trails. So 15 years also seemed like just about the right balance. So that's kind of the framing that I had. One thing just to briefly add here is this this priority setting, this request for inputs from you all, and as we did in September from our board, is informing our priorities over time, but especially for the upcoming work plan and budget that we're doing for the coming fiscal year. And then especially over the next 2 years as we work towards, fingers crossed, a funding measure in 2026. So all of those things consider is kind of, I know there are a lot of numbers there and a lot of different timeframes, but we're all working towards understanding what your inputs are about helping us set our priorities over those next 15 years that especially informs near-term budgeting and project planning. So with that, if I may, I can pass it over to Lee.
All right. Good evening, committee members. Lee Rauscher, Assistant General Manager. And I have the pleasure of walking you through what I hope you'll find is a fun little exercise. It's the same one that we did with the board back in September. A lot of you were curious about the Post-it notes. It's not to jot down your notes for Black Friday sales, but it's actually, we're going to get some feedback from each of you on these 8 areas of our niche or niche. There's a big internal debate about how you say that word, and I'll probably use them interchangeably throughout the evening. We've got a paper copy over here against the wall, and what I'm going to ask you all to do is take a couple of minutes and think about these 8 areas: agriculture, connecting people to Santa Clara Valley; wildlife, connectivity and biodiversity; environmental policy and education; equitable access; conservation partnerships; land protection and stewardship; and then nature-based solutions for climate change. Take a couple minutes and think about, based on your interactions with the community, your experience and knowledge of the authority, what you maybe think our strengths are. These are all areas that we feel we make an extraordinary impact on regional conservation. Over this next 15 years-ish, where do you think we should be prioritizing our efforts? Not an easy question to answer, really. And you have 2 Post-its, so you can pick a number 1 and a number 2. And simply, if you wouldn't mind, you can just put a number 1 on one, a number 2 on the other Post-it. Your first name, first and last name is fine. And when you're ready, go ahead and add them to this little display over here where it says OSA's niche. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to do that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the why. Comment?
Yeah. And then if I can just add, I don't know if AB 2449 allows virtual Post-its, but Kathy, you're more than welcome to participate in whatever makes sense for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy, how about when everyone puts their Post-its up, we'll turn to you and I'll put a couple Post-it notes up on your behalf.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Or I can text Carolyn too. Carolyn.
That'll work too.
Yeah, I'll probably do that. And we only picked 2.
That's right.
Yikes.
Yes, and so, yeah, when you're ready, you need to place them right here next to the circle that represents your topic. This way no one falls asleep on us.
There you
Can I
go.
just go vote for all of them?
There you go.
Hold on.
Were you moving mine around?
Yeah. Do you suppose I could steal your pen for a moment? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Either way. You're the one I should worry about. It'll just be.
There's a lot of choices. Sometimes I feel like really deep. Well, in a way, I can use that. Well, I take care of this. I actually take care of that. So I need that.
All right, yeah.
A buddy of mine, you guys are- yeah. Looking around for. And this time he says, "Mom, you know, you don't need to worry about the answer or just the box or anything like that. You know, it's trail. But it's a really cool trail, but it's a trail, right? Like, it's a trail, well, it's a trail. You know, this thing, you trail is this little thing that we're.
Yeah.
So they, and they, we need a lot of trails. And it's like when you completely overgrown. So they get about 40 miles down into this canyon. Far enough where we didn't want to come back out the other way. So anyway, both ways. And it's doors and like, and like, when you get with the firewall, there's a lot of people like, really raw operating like. Simulates.
Wow.
Because. We're talking about.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of did a real basic, which is. They stayed at home, but they bought it from the HEB. And we changed the product. So maybe that's it's a proposed land, but a public trail.
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
We dropped it. Area. Public trail.
I know anyway.
All right. It looks like all the votes are in. I don't see Post-it notes at anybody's seat. So maybe we could start with the one that got the most Post-its, which is connecting people to Santa Clara Valley. And we'd love to hear why folks voted that with the most Post-it notes. So in no particular order, I'm just going to take some names off the Post-it notes here. I'm going to start with Steve. Steve, that's one that you put a Post-it note next to. Why do you think that's important?
That was the connecting people to Santa Clara.
That's right.
Because I look at all of these and promoting community well-being and health is answered by all of these things. But that was if I was to say why, that's why I want that, is I want to promote community health. And I'm thinking a little light bulb went on, and I thought you guys should be looking for funding from Kaiser and United Health and Medicare. Because when I see some of the programs that Terry's come up with, so that's my pitch.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Kathy, do you think we could tap you for your why?
Sure, thank you. The connecting to Santa Clara Valley, I think the people who I've been interacting with recently are definitely appreciate the preservation of the open space. And I think reminding people that that doesn't come free or easy is just going to be so critical to keeping the organization as the protector of the open space. I think making the case that this is what we do, we connect you, we preserve these lands for you in Santa Clara Valley is just something that we need to strengthen, especially because, well, the other side too, that is a benefit, but it's just one of those, is that people don't understand the difference between Mid-Penn and the Open Space Authority, which is great because that tells me that it's seamless and people just appreciate the open space, and we can get credit for what Mid-Penn does and Mid-Penn can get credit for what OSA does. But I do think that just getting OSA out there in front of people's minds would be very helpful looking down the road 2 years from now.
Great. So a little bit of our own brand and identity building.
Yeah, but we do have a great brand.
We do.
But you know,
or recognition, maybe.
Yeah, but it's also one of those funky things where people go, "Oh yeah, I love the open space. I go to San Antonio all the time," and I'm like, "Yes, thank you."
Great. Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
Let's see, Lonnie, I think you had a Post-it up there too.
I did. For me, I was thinking more cynical. People don't care about things unless it affects them. People are very selfish in that matter. So I was thinking of it in that sense that right now, especially in the coming like 5-10 years, I think it's really important that we make sure that people are connected with things, or they make a connection, or they see an impact on themselves in order for them to truly care. Because when it comes to voting time, it's going to be very, very critical to make sure that they understand that impact and it impacts them. Because if it does not, you're going to get there and people will or will not vote. So, or vote against it or vote for it, but they may not understand why. So I think it's really important to connect people to those things emotionally and not just logically. Like a lot of things are very logical. A lot of these things are very, of course, you know, of course we want to help agriculture. Like it's very, kind of like up in the air, but when I think of people, I think more of it like really hitting people home, like seeing pictures of individuals going and doing the hikes, like that's like new for me. I don't think I recall seeing all these really great hike photos. I see other people and I'm like, oh, it's my friends who, yeah, they're the hiking couple. Great. Woo, you know, but I've seen like groups of individuals who don't do that normally there's a different connection there. And I'm like, oh, maybe I could hike. I'm not a hiker. I'm not going running, doing all of that after Thanksgiving. That's not a thing. But I could go with that group that's maybe gonna stroll along and give me ice pops at the end. That's the thing, you know, like
That's my group too.
you know, so I think that's what's missing right now. And I think it'll be really nice to see more of that.
That's great. So finding a way to connect with the various interests of our communities and being part of the community, us and them together. Yeah.
Branding isn't the problem. It's making sure the brand is part of the community.
There you go.
With pops.
Thank you. Yeah, you can't go wrong with popsicles. That's great. Thank you. And Bob, I think sorry, I said Bob, but Joe, did I ask you? I think you have a posted up there too.
You didn't ask me, but I think because Santa Clara Valley is so large and there's so many people that we can reach out to and let them know what's available. And by doing that, we'll just expand to what people really want to know. I mean, there's so much technology here that they're getting overloaded. And if we can get them out to the preserves, they can relax a little bit and enjoy it. And I think the more that we talk about that, the more we have a chance of getting those people out there.
Beautiful. Thank you. But Bob, you did have a posted note up there too, right?
I did, and what I would like people to do is to experience what I did. I'll tell you a very fast story. In 1969, I know that's a long time ago for many of you folks, and maybe some weren't even born. I was tired of LA and I drove up to this valley because I had heard about it. I stood in the foothills of Los Gatos and looked over the entire valley, and what I saw was open space and trees and wonderful things. I went home, moved, and came here in 1970 and have been here trying to experience, and I look around now going, at the rate we're taking that away, people will never have the experience that I got to have. In fact, my wife and I are giving our money when we die to the open space for that same reason. There you go.
Very generous of you. Thank you. Yeah, and Frank.
It's gonna be very brief.
Yeah.
Most important thing that I see that's missing really is the connection that most people don't really know what open space really offers in the first place. And connecting them to the open space, just like you know, the experience you have, I think is something really important. So somehow we need to make a better connection with the people to let them know exactly what they could enjoy, how important it is to have the open space available to them. So that's all I really wanted to add to it.
That's great. Thank you very much. Did I miss anybody? Yeah.
I actually did not vote for that, but hearing all these stories, it makes me think of the importance. And I was just sharing with Lonnie, you know, I'm a Santa Clara County native. And I think that might be something that I take for granted, you know, and hearing Frank's story, Bob's story about coming, you know, from the LA area, just being like a creek geek in these, you know, the creeks here growing up. So definitely connecting people, because we do have a lot of transplants or people that are not from here, you know, originally, or even from California originally for that matter. And so making kind of expanding what we're doing, I think would be important. So did not vote for that, but I do support that.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody who put a post-it note up for that one? All right, well, let's go to the one that got the second most post-its, and that is land protection and stewardship. And Justin, I think you put a post-it up for that.
I did. I think my concern especially is in stewardship. I mean, there's various different entities that are preserving land, that are buying up property and preserving it, but they're not necessarily taking care of it, managing it properly. And I know OSA does, but and a lot of them are eventually handed over to OSA. But in the meantime, Or even if they don't, hand it over to another agency that will manage it properly. That is my concern, is that there are lands that are being preserved, but then they're just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
Doing nothing. And I mean, and a lot of times they are taken out of production if they're in agriculture or grazing or whatever, and they just sit there, and they kind of, a lot of times they will go backwards, if you will, from what they were currently doing. And it just needs to be a concern.
So I'm hearing it's more than just protection, right? It's
Yes.
the stewardship part
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
kind of caught your eye.
Follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Let's see. I wrote down 5 names and there were only 4 Post-it notes. So I've made at least one mistake in this string of names, but Lauren, did you put a Post-it up there? Thank you.
I did, and well, I'm hearing a lot of awesome opinions about the other ones. I think this is the right answer. Because
Put a star by this.
but seriously, I think this has to happen before any of the other things happen.
Mm,
Right? It has to happen first. We have to have the land first, and then we can do all these other things with it.
great. So foundational piece.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see. And then I wrote down your name, Joe. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Excellent.
And this is the one I wanted to be a number 2 as well. And a big reason is because of the Trail Masters. I was looking to do this to become a Trail Master and also to get more people to become stewards, so I in turn can show them, as well as all the other people that are Trail Masters and CACs, how to take care of the land. Because if you don't, it won't take care of itself. And that's what my main project and mission will be.
Great. Thank you. Love the enthusiasm.
It's there.
All right. More than likely, one of these 2 names is wrong, and I apologize. I have Kathy's name and Ed's name. Did you put, was it? Okay. What's your why, Ed?
That was my number 2. Agriculture was number 1. And I think Lauren just said it best, is those are the 2 foundational issues, which none of the others could exist without. I think the protection and stewardship of the land, support of farmers, agriculture, farmers and ranchers out there to use it in a good way. Those are all the examples that build on all the other issues. So to me, those are the 2 most important.
Great. Thank you. So back to kind of these foundational pieces to make the rest possible.
They're all important, but those 2.
Right.
Can't build anything else without that.
Great. Yeah, it was hard to pick from the 8. It was hard to narrow it down to 8 in the first place. And now we're just asking for 2. So that's it. Yeah, let's go to, I think.
No, Lee.
Oh, sorry,
Lee,
Kathy. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I was on that one too. And
Oh, okay.
it's actually my
And I
number
can't count.
1. It was my number 1, and my number 2 was the connecting people. The reason why, to me, it's so important for the land protection is that once land gets developed, you can't get it back. So I think that it's really important that we focus on protecting land. But the other side of that is because we are using public dollars to protect the land, we have to show that we can open it and that we can be good stewards of it. And so, once you have great land that's protected and great trails and it's open to the public, then you're going to connect the people to this space in the valley. And I think it's just going to make it that much more important to folks.
Right. So show people that we are good stewards, get the properties open where we can, right?
Yeah.
And invite the public on.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we can't just amass land for amassing land, or I don't think we can. I think
Yeah.
we have to make it accessible to people.
Exactly. Great. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. And then we had a 4-way tie. So we're going to go to agriculture first. And I didn't write down the names of the folks who flagged that, but let's see. Ed, you said you had flagged ag, and I happened to see a gentleman back here with a mustache who put a post-it down next to ag. So I think I can figure the two out. So Ed and Justin, if I can invite you. That's true, but not on the back row. Yeah.
I think I included that in my prior
Okay.
diatribe. Just another foundational thing, you need to, as I said, support agriculture, use it wisely, and then everything else
Follows.
follows after that. you know.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks. And Justin.
Yes, yes, agriculture, that was my number one pick for obvious reasons. And that was why we put together the ag tour that several of you attended. I regret that we weren't able to have video ready for tonight. My daughter came along and is making a video so that those of you that weren't there can see it. Unfortunately, as those that were there know, the weather conditions that day with the wind made audio really bad.
Oh, yes.
So it's taking a little longer to get that produced, but hopefully by the January meeting, we'll have that. And then perhaps in the spring, we can do another tour, more of a grazing oriented tour.
Mm.
And anyway, yeah,
That would be great. Yeah, I think the Mother Nature gave your daughter quite the editing challenge with the wind that day. It was a beautiful day, but very windy.
yes, right.
Sorry.
Follow up.
Absolutely.
And sounds like a silly question to you, Justin, but what is foundational about agriculture in Santa Clara Valley? Why in 2024 and over the next 15 years should we even care about agriculture? There are a lot of folks out there that say agriculture is dead.
You like to eat?
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Food, yes.
Sustainable food and dead agriculture?
You can say that. Yeah, but then your ag lands, like, I mean, everybody here knows Coyote Valley, that is with the exception of a couple of barriers down the middle of it, Highway 101 and Monterey Road, it's wildlife connectivity. All that ag land provides all of that.
Agriculture was the foundation of this valley to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born and raised in Sunnyvale and saw that area destroyed at the farms and orchards. I think preserving every last square inch that you can to get back to that foundational roots of this valley is important.
Yeah, this is some of the best ag and farming soil in the country. And it's majority of this county's been paved over. And it's really a crime, really. Lauren.
If I may, and thank you, Justin, I think that this is a total natural partnership that's kind of exemplified by what we do here. I didn't put it as my one or two because I kind of thought it was captured by, it kind of fell under the umbrella. But ag, historically they owned a tremendous amount of land. They're kind of natural, sustainable partners, or they can be retooled to take on sustainable practices pretty easily. And then again, it's natural wildlife like connectivity and also multi-benefit use. We can I can hike with Justin's cows, right? They don't have to cancel each other out, right?
Right. Not mutually exclusive.
Even though they freak me out a little bit because they're so big.
They're big.
But yeah, so it might be somewhat contextual because of Santa Clara Valley and because of the history of the valley, but it's just there's no way we could do this without them. Again, conservation partnerships, another foundational piece, but I think it kind of falls under the land protection and stewardship because
once we get the land, we can start working with partners like agriculture, you know, and kind of like I see it as kind of like a 2 and 3 and 4 for 1.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, even though it didn't make my top 2, the only reason it didn't is because I think it falls right in line. It comes so naturally with the other ones.
Got it. Yeah. So closely associated. If you're going to do one, you're kind of getting the others
Exactly,
anyway. Yeah. Got it. Got it. That's great. She's got notes on conservation partnership. So maybe we go there. We had a couple for conservation partnerships as well. Anybody want to share their why on why that popped up? Yeah.
Yeah, for me, partnerships are like kind of a low hanging fruit because there's, safety in numbers and in mass. And I have just found that a lot of things happen when you have like-minded organizations that are joining together to show a united force. I always think that partnerships are great too, because it allows you to tap into another audience that might be unique, to us, or to the organization. And again, I think it's just, not only here in Santa Clara County, but Alameda County and other counties just kind of coming together to tell that story. So that's why I was saying conservation partnerships.
Great. Thank you. Yes, it makes a big difference when you have several groups pulled together, louder voice. Anyone else want to add to that one?
That was my second one. So to me, basically partnership is really the basic. If you don't have partnership with the right people, agriculture or people that really want to preserve, open space, those are the partnership that we really need. So that is very important. If we don't have the right partnership, nothing will work.
Right. Can't go forward or can't get far.
You're not gonna be able to preserve anything, agriculture will be, whatever an issue. But so the right partnership is really what we need, to create, and build on that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Let's see. And I think one of the next ones down is wildlife connectivity and biodiversity. We had a couple of Post-its there. Anybody want to speak up as to their why?
That was one of mine, and that made the list because they need advocates. Like we can advocate for all this other stuff. These are all humans that can speak up for themselves and promote those things as long as we have land protection and stewardship. It's the animals that need an advocate so that this is done with an intention and strategically so that they're considered too. Because again, Justin is going to, advocate for himself and, go animal.
I think someone on the board alluded to something similar of the animals are part of the community, can't speak up for themselves. Yeah.
Much more eloquently than I did. I'll write that down.
Any other comments on wildlife connectivity and biodiversity? All right. And then that leaves us the nature-based solution for climate change. I'm like N6S. No, NBS. Yeah. So there were a couple Post-its on this one as well. Anybody want to share their why here?
Sure.
Yeah, great.
So I picked that one. I was between that and the wildlife connectivity as well. I felt like the connecting people to Santa Clara, the nature-based solution one, and wildlife were all very specific action items that I felt like I could see people really understanding and getting behind. Versus some of the others, we know what it means, but when you say it out loud, like it's like equitable access, great. That means various things. So for nature-based solutions, that kind of ties into agriculture. It ties into all these other components, but it felt very specific in that sense where it connects to me and my why and the things that I personally care about. And a lot of people, younger generation specifically, younger than all of us, very strongly feel about climate change. So you say anything about climate change, you're gonna be like, excuse me, what? Yes. Like how can I help my planet not burn and go to a crisp? Thank you. And then you can eke in all the other things without sounding Because sometimes those bigger terms, they sound so high and mighty and you're like, yeah, that's great, but how does it affect me? And how do I specifically do this thing? So that's why I picked nature-based solutions for that. And then, yeah, I was between wildlife as well. The animals can't say anything, so yeah, you gotta speak up for them. So that was my why.
That's great. And it's, you make a really good point too. In younger generation, this is what's on their mind too. And it's a way to connect
If you're
and
trying
get
for the
folks'
next 15
attention.
years,
Right. That's
climate
right.
change, I know it's been a buzzword for a really long time, but these kids, this is what they care about. They really do care. And they want to know, how do I do that?
Right.
So
Right.
nature-based solutions that spoke to me as a whole. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, what does that look like? And it probably ties into agriculture. It probably ties into saving the animals. It ties into all those things. But yeah, how do I do the solutions? What is that?
Yeah.
I don't want to have that answer.
Yeah. Practically speaking, what does that
Right.
What does
How
that
do
look
I
like
do
for a
that?
person?
How do I help it or vote for it or
Yeah.
participate in it? Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. And we had another posted up there too for this topic. Anyone else want to join in? Yeah.
I'd selected that one, maybe similarly to reason, is, well, I saw the connecting people was about wellness. The nature-based solutions is how. I want to support agriculture. I'd really like it to be with nature-based solutions. I know we can do wildlife connectivity. If we could work with the VTA to get a bus to go from the Santa Cruz Mountains to the Diablo Range. That's not the nature-based solution. It's not a sustainable solution that I'm really behind. So as I look around the circle, every one of these things, I could cringe at how someone might attack it. And but I feel much better if they said, well, we're taking a nature-based solution to agriculture, to environmental policy, to wildlife connectivity.
Yeah. To executing our strategy through a nature-based solution. Yeah.
And small be a big S for all these things.
Right. Exactly. And the very last one, environmental policy and education. We had one post-it note up there. Mira, you want to share your why?
I am an advocate for education all the time. I'm, as a former classroom educator and the family of educators. And now that I'm working for one of the largest water agencies in the Santa Clara County, I'm also an advocate for lobbying and finding other people to advocate for us as well too. And so to me, education and advocacy kind of go hand in hand. We're talking about the next generation and, teaching people how to write for the causes that they believe in, I think is important as well too, kind of piggybacking off of, those nature-based solutions. So really thinking about that in terms of education and policy and lobbying and just moving forward with more things on, in Sacramento and kind of making it more a larger California conversation, although, being like the grassroots here in Santa Clara County for that.
Nice. One of the directors commented, everyone should have their own Terry Roggaway to support this bucket. Any other comments on any of the bubbles? Thank you. This has been really valuable as we, as Mark said, as we start down our path here very shortly, developing a work plan for the upcoming fiscal year. But as we're looking out this 15-year lens, it's great to have your insights, your inputs, and understanding your why. If you're curious, I'll share with you the outcome of the board exercise. 7 board members, we gave them, since it was a smaller group, we gave them 3 post-it notes. So 21 post-it notes in total. And the top vote getter was agriculture with 5. And then the wildlife, connectivity, and biodiversity with 4. Couple away tie here, connecting people to Santa Clara Valley and equitable access with 3, and then 2 each for environmental policy and education, land protection and stewardship, and nature-based solutions for climate change. Conservation partnerships did not score a post-it note, but again, it's all 8 are important. It was trying to pick the, the utmost priorities to focus on. and as everyone has said here, a lot of these other buckets follow. You pick one, other things come along with it, and obviously partnerships come along with any of these. Fantastic. Thank you very much for your input. That's all we've got for you tonight.
Lee, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Those are very different answers. What do you think? I'm just surprised they're so different.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know what the different, I don't know why the difference. I can tell you that some of the whys behind choosing agriculture from the board had to do with food is something we all have in common. We all have to eat. We have several folks on the board who have family ties to agriculture, either growing up on a farm with farms in the family or near farms, or something related to the food industry. And I think it's near and dear on their mind, maybe from the beginning, and then seeing that the time is now, perhaps in the Valley, to preserve and support agricultural land. I don't know if Mark or Andrea, you want to make if you want to add anything there. Why, the question was, why are the results so different maybe between the board and the CAC?
Yeah, through the chair. I think those are all really good comments and observations of why the board sort of had the takeaways, the major takeaways that they did. I think all of the insights are really helpful, and this isn't answering the question, but I'm going to use the platform anyway to say what I really appreciated about the comments tonight was the emphasis on how these things are so interconnected, right? There were a lot of people that spoke for an element that they voted for, right? And the reasons why they chose it, but then how it, is sort of foundational to other things, and how, like the nature-based solutions, we look through that lens at some of the other work we do, then it's more something that we can trust will be done in a way that's responsible. I don't know, a lot of those sort of interconnectedness comments came through for me tonight. And I think what we got from the board then, there were some very high level remarks. And like you said, Lee, based on family ties and history. But they were also pretty broad in what they covered. So I don't know. I think there are a lot of parallels too.
Absolutely. Andrew, do you want to add anything?
Agriculture, which I thought was really cool, because agriculture has been part of our mission from the beginning, and yet it's kind of nascent in that we're now like really stepping fully into it in the last 6 or so years, ever since the Santa Clara Valley Ag Plan was adopted. And I think the board sees that there aren't other public land conservation agencies in this valley that are really paying attention to agriculture for agriculture's sake and for all the benefits that agriculture provides. And so if we have to spend more time in one area, I think they're saying, hey, we need to stand up for agriculture, because if we don't, who will?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think I'm getting where this is coming from then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the end of our presentation.
Another question over here?
Oh,
No, just a comment that came up about our chairman here. I hope everybody had a chance to read that link that Charlotte sent out about Justin's ranch operation. It's a really good example of partnerships, benefits to both the cattle operation and to the other side of the ridge, is it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really good example of how that is so important and how it all benefits all of those things. So if everyone got a chance to see that, if not, dig it out.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, if I may, we also have one of our board members here. If If I can put him on the spot, if he has some comments also. The earlier question about, board comments versus CAC comments.
Actually, before I say anything, it's working, right? So today I'm actually the liaison is an alternate board liaison because that Granada Animals, she has some kind of health problem. And most of you already know me, but I saw some new members there. I'm a Calvin Gill, and then I'm representing District 7 board members. Last 18 years, actually, I'm just serving this agency. Hopefully, I don't know how many more years. So I was actually listening. Interestingly, the reason is that because we already gone through this process also. Agriculture, definitely. That is in my blood because I born in the farmer family back home. During my childhood, I just work with my parents for a living. So that's why number one is when I chose that one, that was the number one agriculture for me. And even in this valley, if we don't have the food, then I don't think so. Nobody can survive that. That's the main reason we just chose that agriculture. The second one, I think, which one? The second one we chose that?
Wildlife connectivity and biodiversity.
Yeah, that's actually we need that one as well because anybody is on the earth need to have the right to be survive that. That's why we choose that the second one. But I don't know which one I choose. The second one, the first one, the agriculture. So thank you for asking me this question, and then hopefully I will answer whatever your expectation is that.
Thank you, Director Gill. Thank you, Andrea, for taking such good notes. Keep up the good work. Someday you'll end up running this outfit. Are there any public comment?
If any members of the public joining us via Zoom would like to comment on this item, you may raise your hand. There now.
No. Okay. Item number 3, Caroline. I'd like to review and recommend amendments to the Citizens Advisory Committee Handbook of Guidelines and Responsibilities regarding meeting dates in May and November.
I always have to follow the really good presentations with my kind of boring one. But it'll be graphic, and it'll be quick.
Yeah.
So tonight, staff will be asking you to review a proposed amendment to the CAC handbook regarding changing the language pertaining to our the CAC meeting dates. Staff recommend during this presentation that the CAC review and recommend the proposed handbook amendments for final board approval on December 12th, 2024. And it's specifically relating to the CAC meeting dates. Based off our discussion that we had at our September meeting, there was some reworking of the meeting dates in November. And in addition to November, we've had to rework dates in the past for Memorial Day. So currently, the CAC handbook states that the CAC will normally meet monthly on the 4th Monday of the month, every other month except in December. And other special meetings may be scheduled as deemed necessary by the CAC chair. Meetings shall be conducted according to an adopted meeting procedure. And so, based off of the conversations we had, based off of those scheduling changes that we've made, specifically with May and November, staff are proposing this language change for the handbook. So bear with me. The CAC will meet monthly on the 4th Monday of January, March, July, September, and November, unless the meeting date falls on a holiday or during a holiday week, in which case the CAC will meet on the 3rd Monday of the month. So that kind of encompasses or handles the month of November, any sort of conflicts with holidays in November. And then the CAC will meet on the 3rd Monday in May, which will basically eliminate any sort of reworking of the meeting day for a conflict with the Memorial Day holiday. It just will be statically on the 3rd Monday in May. And then the other part is the same. And then there's, in reviewing the handbook, there were a couple of formatting and spelling things that we would address. Agendize was spelled incorrectly, and then just adjusting some formatting issues. And so staff and myself would clean those up. And I would bring this to the board for their final approval December 12th. So the board will review it and then just approve those changes. So that's all. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No, I think I.
Change your mind.
Yeah, I think I answered it. Thanksgiving isn't always in the fourth week of November. Like, okay.
It's actually, Veterans Day would actually be the holiday that would kind of be the other one that we would have to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't just say November is always third week like May.
Yeah, exactly. Because there would be some conflicts in the coming years with that Veterans Day holiday being observed. If it fell on a Sunday, it would be observed on a Monday. Yeah.
Comments or questions? So we don't need to take any action.
If there was any amendments, if maybe my wording was a little weird, or if you had any suggestions on specifically on the wording.
Staff is just recommending this to the board
Correct.
and they're voting on it.
Yes.
Need to act on it.
Yeah, that's all.
Questions, comments?
Do we want to make a motion to
Well, that was
approve?
my question. Do we
yeah.
need to take action? Would anybody like to make a
I'll make a
motion that we
motion that we
recommend this?
accept it as stated.
Okay,
If that, wait, did I take a second?
Yeah.
we're good. All right, proceed to a vote, please.
Do you want to ask if there's any public comment?
Is there any public comment regarding this matter?
If any members of the public joining us via Zoom would like to comment on this item, you may raise your hand. Okay.
Shall we proceed to a vote?
Frank Kinsella,
Yes.
Bob Zibble,
Yes.
Lauren Lewis,
Yes.
Justin Fields,
Yes.
Kathy Sutherland,
Yes.
Steve Mink,
Yes.
Lonnie Wong Bissett,
Yes.
Mary Burton,
Yes.
Ed Von Rennick,
Yes.
Joe Henwick.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Board liaison, information reports. You already, do you have more?
Yeah, so
Oh, right.
Well, I don't have much, but I just, I have to fill this items right here.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm here anyway. So the last board meeting, actually, there are 4 or 5 very important item was there. There was 2 actually, the report, audit report. So those are presented by, I think it's about prepared by the Moss and Levy, right? So it's a good thing is that the board is accepted both audit reports. It's a good things. So there is no any kind of problem was in our audit. It mean I want to say thank you to staff. They are doing the great job. So the second, actually, the same thing, we have the amendment board principles amendment was there too. So we approved that one as well. So there is another, actually, the presentation is a Bay Area Ridge Trail Councils. There is really a great presentation, and those presentation actually depend upon 3 main items: Bay Area Trail overview, and then backgrounds. They depend upon, and then they are asking, like the presentation was on that. One thing, the second thing was the recent successful collaborations between the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council and Open Space Authority. The third one is a upcoming plan and opportunity in the regions. The main thing is that the both agencies working together and make a big progress. I think if you think anything else we did our last board meeting, you guys can update that. And thank you very much.
Thank you. General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You.
Good to see you too. Nice to see all of you this evening. Welcome, Joe. It's really great to see you here on the CAC.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
And because Director Gill was here tonight as an alternate, just in case some of you hadn't heard, our board member, who's usually this CAC liaison, Garnetta Annabelle, had a fall a few weeks ago and fractured her pelvis. So she has been in and out of the hospital, but she's on the mend. And we are hoping to present her with kind of a Lifetime Achievement Award at the December 12th board meeting. So I think, Lee, you're going to say something about that? Okay, great. And very excited though, Kathy, I can't see you, but just congrats on joining the board. Really excited to have you joining us in just a couple of weeks. Hard to believe.
Yay, thank you.
Actually, I want to be respectfully invite all of you to come and join this December 12th meeting. That is Annabelle's actually lifetime's achievement. We have to do that, and I respectfully ask everybody to come on December 12th. I actually forgot I'm supposed to be.
Thank you.
Then just a couple things, and I'll ask our assistant general managers to update you. Just a minute ago, when Lonnie was talking in the prioritization about nature-based solutions, I was containing my excitement, but that would probably be like my number one. I am so excited about nature-based solutions. It's like the thing right now. And for those of you who don't know, this is the definition. The use of nature and natural processes to address diverse social and environmental issues. It can include climate change mitigation, water security, food security, disaster risk reduction, resilient ecosystems, and it is increasingly being seen as a solution to effectively combat climate change, i.e., we will not get to net zero without nature. And so there are increasing policies and funding available to agencies like ours to do this work. And Mark will probably talk about one such funding measure called Prop 4 in a minute. But the other reason I wanted to bring this up, Lonnie, is that we're really excited to have a new partnership with Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action. And they have a new nature-based solutions team, and they want to work with the Open Space Authority to actually get their youth involved in that. And we were part of their summit this past summer, and it was just a really cool event. So wanted to let you know about that. One of the big things that was at the board last Thursday is that you may have seen the news coverage. The Peninsula Open Space Trust just transferred close to 400 acres to us in the Coyote Valley, the North Coyote Valley, in the area known as Laguna Seca. And we paid them back for the money they initially put down in 2019 to buy those properties with monies we've raised from the state of California, $16 million. $10 million came from a request Ashkara made in the budget. And the other $6 million came from the urban floodplain stream restoration money at the state level through state parks. So that escrow closed. Post is getting its money back. Now it can reinvest money in other places in Coyote Valley and around the region. And then next, no, actually it's this week. What's the date today? The 18th. Yeah, in just a couple days. On November 21st, the Wildlife Conservation Board, which is the acquisition arm of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, is holding their board hearing with a recommendation from staff to allocate $5 million to the Open Space Authority to pay post for mid-Coyote Valley properties. So we had almost 400 acres transferred to us last week. By middle of next year, we'll have another 400 acres for a total of 800 acres in the Coyote Valley that will belong to the public. When all is said and done, we probably will have raised 12 plus 16 is 28 million dollars in statewide voter approved funds to acquire Coyote Valley and pay our important partner Post back. So by next year, a couple of things will happen. The 1,800 acre Tilton Ranch is going to be owned in perpetuity by Valley Habitat Agency, but we are going to be responsible for operating it as a publicly accessible open space preserve. Valley Habitat Agency is also transferring 1,300 acres on the East Coyote Ridge in this next year to the Open Space Authority. So when you think about it, from the northern limits of Morgan Hill to North Coyote Valley at the power plant Metcalf Energy Facility, that whole distance, most of it will be in conservation, about 3,000 acres. It belongs to the people forever. No more development threats there. So it's really, really cool. But as they say in this profession, wins are temporary and losses are permanent. We're working very hard to make sure that decision makers understand that the paradigm has shifted in Coyote Valley, where once it was going to be 6 million square feet of campus industrial and a city the size of Mountain View, it's now principally to be in wildlife, water, agriculture, climate resilience, and public access. However, there are a couple of proposals sitting out there that haven't gotten the memo and are continuing to push the city councils for development proposals. I think we had talked to you before. There's a very large cemetery proposed called Heritage Oaks Cemetery. It's just on the backside of the hill that frames the protected lands of Coyote Valley, and it attaches to Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve. So that would result in grading, terrible grading of the hillsides back there, roadways, lights, 8 mausoleums and a crematorium, a 2-story community center. And this was a project in a maybe smaller version that was approved by City Council about 12 years ago. And they did an environmental impact report at the time. Now they're back, still a cemetery, but a much larger and more intensive one. And so the city of San Jose has required them to do some supplemental environmental work. But it's going to be up to the planning staff and to make the decision whether it even needs to go to the planning commission or the city council. And if it does, it'll take a council vote. Most of what we know about Coyote Valley today, from indigenous history to agriculture to water to wildlife to climate resilience, everything. This science-based knowledge has been collected probably in the last 8 years, all since that original decision was made. And it's painful to think that decisions are made by local government with a fraction of the knowledge that we know today for Coyote Valley. So we're watching that very closely. And we're going to be commenting on that environmental document when it comes out. The other threat, if you will, is if you probably heard, California needs much more energy, needs to increase its grid reliability, especially here in Silicon Valley for AI, for data centers. And they're looking at the Metcalf Energy Center as one place to increase that grid capacity. So there's a energy company called LS Power that is trying to get a HVDC transmission facilities to connect with the PG&E substation at Metcalf. And that will go before the California Public Utilities Commission in 2025. The application's already been filed. Part of the problem is the PG&E's initial response is that they have said no to co-location, even though they have some additional space at their substation. So that's forced this energy company to go look for their own site. And the site they've picked is on Monterey Road between Bailey and Metcalf, property called Mellow. And if they locate there, which is the same spot we in Post plan to have a wildlife bridge and undercrossings under Monterey. In fact, the state of California has already invested $5 million in this study. VTA has agreed to manage the facilities. Caltrans is involved. The city of San Jose has contributed money. This is going to happen. So we had a meeting 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago with PG&E, and we formally requested that they allow LS Power to co-locate where they need to connect anyway, the PG&E station. So they're taking it under advisement, and we don't have an answer yet.
How large of a footprint are we talking about here that they're looking to use?
3.5 to 5 acres. So when you drive up and down the Monterey corridor or the 85-101 interchange there, it feels like there's other properties there that aren't very efficiently used. And so not only this concerns us because it could upend these millions, $120 million we spent to protect the Coyote Valley to connect the 2 mountain ranges, and we've got to get across or under or over Monterey Road. And if these facilities are built in that same place, that's bad news. But the other bad news is that it could create a domino effect of seeing battery storage up and down the Monterey corridor to connect to these transmission facilities. And there's a lot of pressure for this type of land use. So we're at a very, very interesting time right now in Santa Clara County and in the state of California. We'll keep you posted. But we're pulling out all the stops to be involved in this process. And I think part of the challenge is the state of California has called them co-equal interests. They really care about conservation and they care about nature-based solutions to climate change. They also really care about energy. But they kind of leave it to us locals at the local level to figure it all out. And what's happening is we're arriving at the same places at the same time. So we're trying to be as helpful as we can and to say, hey, we can have clean energy and we can have conservation, but we have to use our lands efficiently to get this done. So we've reached out to the Newsom administration and they've sent somebody to the meeting that we had with PG&E, and we'll continue to engage them in further conversations. And I think I'll stop there. Lee?
Thank you, Andrea. A few things for you this evening.
Question? If I could. Just for my education, I just want to understand the math so that it makes sense going forward. We talk about Post is getting paid back. They're getting their 16 million. My understanding is they put up 40% or more of the 100 million that went into buying the pieces of in North Coyote Valley. I don't know if my numbers are correct. So what does it mean that they're getting paid back? Are they getting paid back everything they put in, or are they accepting like a smaller amount?
Post is accepting a smaller amount and thereby making a donation. They're leaving money on the table. Yeah.
That's helpful for me to explain to the community.
Yeah.
The important role Post plays, important role we play, important role that Post plays as well. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, a few more updates for you this evening, committee members. It seems like a long time ago, October 28th, but we had our volunteer appreciation event, which was really well attended, and it looks like we've outgrown the patio. at the Tilton Ranch. So maybe next year we'll be on the flip side of the property with a little more elbow room. But for those of you who were able to attend, it was, I think, a great time had by all, and we hope to see the rest of you next year. December 5th, we're going to do this in chronological order, by the way. December 5th, we have here at 33 Las Colinas a holiday lunch and gift swap, which you're all invited to. And if you haven't played the gift swap with us, you just haven't lived yet. So please do come and join us. I think you have invitations, but if not, I'm sure there'll be reminders closer to December 5th. December 12th, as Andrea mentioned, we had hoped to have a celebration for Director Annabelle at our November 14th board meeting, and unfortunately, due to her fall, she wasn't able to attend. So we are aiming now for December 12th. You're all invited to come and help us celebrate Director Annabelle's long service to this agency and this community. We will also be having a very informal mingle before the board meeting, so something like 5:30 and invitations will come. But just to for the board to get to know Kathy, a little holiday cheer, and to celebrate Director Annabelle as well. And then just a reminder that your next meeting is January 27th, which seems like an eternity from now, but I'm sure it'll be a blink of an eye. One of the things that you'll be doing there in January is to elect your officers for the year. So to be thinking about that. And then in case you didn't catch it in Director Gill's update, the board did make an update to their board operating rules and procedures a few days ago at their last meeting. They'll now be meeting once a month, except for January and June, where we'll have 2 meetings a month. And our committee meetings will be on the 2nd Thursdays of the month, and the board meetings will be the 4th meetings of the month, except for the months where they have two meetings, obviously. So because you're always welcome to join us to listen in, I wanted to make sure you knew what that meeting cadence was going to look like. And I'm going to defer to give you an update on hiring after Marcus had a chance to do some updates, but I'll defer to Elizabeth. I think there are a few new folks coming on board that you'd like to know about.
Good evening again, CAC members. Just a quick recap of the election. So Andrea just mentioned Prop 4 that passed very strongly throughout California. So that's $10 billion for climate resilience throughout the state. That includes things like land acquisition, water resource protection, farmland protection, and many other aspects of building climate resilience for our communities and for nature. So included in that is $25 million specifically for the Coyote Valley Conservation Program. So we're working with the Coastal Conservancy, which will facilitate that funding. And we can use that for acquisitions and restoration, possibly for other projects as well. Just a quick election recap. For those of you who follow politics, you're probably already aware, but you know, those election results that are relevant to our jurisdiction include, we have a new Congress member, Sam Liccardo, former mayor of San Jose. He's taking over for Anna Eshoo in Congressional District 16. Patrick Arons, who was the district director for Assembly Member Evan Lowe, is going to be the new assembly member in District 26. So Campbell and areas to the west of that. And by the way, these are preliminary results. It doesn't get actually certified until December 13th, but this is the way that things are looking. At the county level, Betty Duong and Margaret Abekoga look like they're going to be our 2 new supervisors. So they're both supportive of the work that we do. So that's, we think, really good news. In the cities, especially the city of San Jose, District 2, Pamela Campos is ahead and growing in the lead, even as further ballots are counted. And she is extremely supportive of our work in Coyote Valley. And District 2 is includes Coyote Valley. So that's really good news for us. We've already taken her on a tour of Coyote Valley, and she's very enthused about supporting that work. And then other districts within San Jose, District 6, Michael Mulcahy, District 8, Domingo Candelas, and District 10, George Casey are the ones ahead. Also, Suds Jane in Santa Clara is likely to be elected as city council member there. He's also been a very strong proponent of our work. In Morgan Hill, Mayor Turner looks like he was reelected for another term. He's also been very supportive, especially as we build out a future trail network in Morgan Hill. So all things considered, that, you know, the local results have been very favorable. And that's kind of my recap. I don't know, Andrew, do you have anything else to say? All right, thank you. Okay. Yes.
Good evening, CAC members. Elizabeth Loretto, Administrative Operations Manager. And as Lee alluded to, I do have a bit of a staffing update. I was trying to remember when you last met, so where I left off with you all, but we've been busy. As you heard Terry reference earlier, Mel Sarmento will be joining us as our Educational Programs Coordinator starting December 2nd. She spent the last 8 years with Guadalupe River Park Conservancy and some time with the Youth Science Institute and other places before that. So we're very excited to welcome her. And we have another new open space technician 2, who is a unique role that's going to really help bolster and build out more opportunities for our trail masters, for those of you who are familiar with that. And his name is Greg Rosselli, and he'll be joining us also starting December 2nd. And he comes to us from Golden Gate National Recreation Area most recently, Muir Woods, some project sites like that, but his family's coming to the South Bay, so he's coming to us. And then also, I think the update that fell in the void is our agricultural specialist. And so Anna Regalado has started with us earlier this month in that role of agricultural specialist, hitting the ground running, getting out there and getting familiar with all of our properties. But the good news, to tie it back also to what Lee said, is they will all be in attendance at our December 5th holiday end of year gathering. So if you are able to come, you'll be able to get to know them a little bit there. And next up is our equipment mechanic operator position, as our Dave Tharp, who many of you may know, is nearing his retirement target timeline. We're getting ready to bring somebody on board to work with him and learn from him. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you.
I have a question just regarding staffing. I know it's intern season is coming up in a couple of months, and so hoping that you will also look to be hiring interns this summer.
Thank you. That is the one I forgot. So we have 3 interns that will be coming up. One will be a Coyote Valley master plan intern, so a planning intern very focused on the master planning project and supporting that. We'll be posting that one actually in the next couple of weeks too, so thank you very much for asking about that. For a kind of spring summer internship experience. And our other 2 is an accounting intern and a communications intern. Both actually we're going to be recruiting in the short term, but the expectation for those is more kind of part-time, long-term. It's kind of like part-time job while in college. So lots of opportunities out there for new folks in their career too.
Very good, thank you. Any CAC members, any reports? Well, let's start over here. If you have anything, say anything. If not, we'll just move on down the line.
I'd like, sorry.
You want to go first since you're online?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to speak up. So I'm a little late at this, but I took the volunteer training this weekend with Terry and Gavin and Cap. I couldn't be more impressed with the organization. And then the other thing that struck me was the diversity of the people who were there for the training, and there were about 20 people. And I think it just speaks really well for the reputation that the Open Space Authority has out in the greater community. And one of the ladies that I was talking to said she just was looking for something to do, and she was poking around and she saw the organization information and she went, this sounds like me. She was there. She was delighted to be there, and she was delightful. And let me see, what else did I want to say? I would like to find out a little bit more. And I'm sure somebody has this. How did people come to the organization? Because it was diverse but younger group of people. So that just caught my eye. I thought it was really interesting that this group that may be difficult to engage in volunteerism were there for the open space. And I also wanted to thank everybody for the tone of voice that the agency speaks with, because it is very welcoming, very fact-based, very fun, and very friendly. And I think that people just feel like they can approach the organization and find something to do. And so yeah, it was about 10 years too late that I took the volunteer training, but I'm glad I took it last weekend. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Fair.
I want to say that at a happening National Apprenticeship Week, so Valley Water, we are celebrating our apprentices. We just launched a brand new program. It's called our Skilled Trades Internship. It's something that's near and dear to my heart because these are careers in the water industry that don't require a four-year college degree, but require some kind of specialization. We just hired 3 new interns as part of our new program, so I'm super excited that we have our new interns, our skilled trade interns on campus during National Apprenticeship Week. So I just want to shout out, and you can take a look at our website. It is the Valley Water Next Gen Career Pathways website, several different initiatives, and our internship will be opening up in December.
Okay, thank you. Lonnie, anything? No? Steve? No? No?
Yeah, yes, I do, and it's mostly addressed to Kathy's question about how it became involved. It all started when I was looking for a hike. And then that got me onto the website. I talked to Kat. I did a patrol outing. And then I became a land steward. And then it just rolled from there. And just by looking at the people that were working and they were so friendly, here I am. And that's what I'm looking to do for more people.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both, actually. Subcommittee reports? Any subcommittee report? No? All right, well, that is all we have this evening then. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. And I will adjourn the meeting. 8:33.
All right.